Salvete. Well, in today's video, I'd like to talk with you about the nature of planets, or rather the planetary connections. There's already enough lectures talking about what the planets are, and I'd much rather talk about how they interact in your specific chart. Of course, I will be taking into consideration that this is my chart, and since I know much more about myself other than the study of the system as a whole, I'd like to present to you what I've already discovered and what may be of use to you yourself. Usually, when we're talking about human design, people are kind of interested in the centers, in the authorities, etc. But I'd much rather talk about something else and exactly what do these channels are comprised of. First things first, one has to consider the fact that when a channel is defined, that means that there's nothing from the outside that can get in. That means that once something is defined, the only, changing factor is either someone with the same channel, so this is like a companionship, where both channels can integrate with each other and learn from one another. But other than that, unless your gate is hanging, there is no actual reason for you to learn. There is no outside factor conditioning you or giving you the ability to learn from the outside. It is self-contained, but much more visible. What a person sees in you is your channels first, because they are defining themes of you, or either your personality or your design. Now, let's hop back into the analysis itself so that you later may understand and use that for yourself. Let's start with the easiest one. If you look at the chart and go back to the down, or actually the root center coming to the emotional solar plexus center, you'll see one specific channel, the 4130. This is the channel of contraction. This is a channel of fantasy and the focused feelings. Now, this is all well and dandy. However, one has to actually start with, what is this channel defined by? Well, if you look closely, it is defined by the red. That means that it is the unconscious and it is the body side. Second of all, we can also see that there is one gate specifically, and that is the 30th gate, which is both in the design and in the personality. Now, what does this actually mean? Let's start off with the easier side, so the channel itself, thus the unconscious. When you look at the moon, it is in the 41st gate in the third line, and it is also in Uranus in line 30 and in the gate 30 and in the fourth line. So immediately, what can we get to? The moon is the internal balance. It is the gravity which grounds the body, and it mirrors actually the Uranus, which is the unconscious movement of the body. It is the speed, it is the natural way your body actually flows through the space. So immediately we can know that this person, not only is their internal balance as well as emotional balance directly connected to the adrenal system, as well as their movement is directly tied to the emotions which are filled by this constantly pulsing adrenal field. How does it actually work? Well, let's start off easy, the balance itself. Since it is in detriment, one can immediately see that this is not only a trial and error field, but it also is going to be scattered. That means that this person is going to experience one side much more than the other. Therefore, their internal balance will be much more scattered. It will spike much more. They feel like there's something wrong with them, that they cannot seem to catch a break and feel stable internally. They'll have problems with emotional and actually movement balance itself, because the person doesn't have conscious access to their balance. They cannot force it, they cannot change it, they can only wait it out. They can only learn discern whether it is proper to move or wait out the spike of adrenaline. What it actually boils down into is if this person is feeling internally correct, so there is no turmoil, there's no emotional turmoil, and we'll get to that in a second, that means that this person, first of all, will stand correctly. There will be no problems with their movement. There will be no spikes in their adrenal activity, and their system will correctly align itself. It also feeds to the emotional field. Now let's quickly look at the 30th gate. The 30th gate is the clinging fire. It is actually in the line 4, and this is quite important because not only is this a fixed line, it is also the line of emotional burnout. So what we can see, the body itself, so the Uranus, is emotionally tied, and it also is moving at a fixed rate. Therefore, once a certain contraction happens, so the 41st gate, for example, has a fantasy of or an internal balance of where to move, the body itself will then move through this extremely strict, streamlined way towards its destination, that which the 41st gate dictates. Moreover, one can immediately see that this is the burnout line. When a person is burnt out emotionally, if the emotional wave subsides or is too high or is too pressurized by the adrenal system itself, and the body loses its balance, internal balance, it immediately loses its, fixed way of movement. There is a burnout happening not only emotionally but also physically in terms of the ability to move itself. The person will probably experience extreme fatigue. They will not be able to move, or the movement itself will be clumsy. The person may stumble, or they may actually be lethargic. At the same time, we can see clearly that there is also personality Uranus happening here. It is in the 30th gate again, and in the 5th line. Now, the 5th line itself is denoted as a constant rehashing of the emotional wave and repeating itself, revisiting actually the emotions, so to double check. Now, again, this is happening at the same time the internal motor is visible. So the thing that is much more visible for the other is actually the way that this person moves and is emotionally or internally balanced. What is happening on the personality side is, as this balance is, pulsing from one thing to the other, and it is in the trial and error field, so that the fantasy itself may go from one thing to another and the balance may be lost. At the same time, the person might revisit certain feelings, emotions, experiences actually, because this channel itself is abstract. Thus, what you could say to this person is, only after an ending of an episode, of an experience, this person can reach a state of internal balance, of clarity, or actual emotional stance about a subject, a thing, and they will then be able to move correctly again. Because if this person is in the emotional wave, which in this case are extreme spikes and extreme lows, the person may not actually be able to even move correctly through that. Now, let's switch back to the other channel itself, the 2145. This is a channel of the money line. This is a tribal channel. This is a channel fixed on the material plane and on the possession. Again, let's start with what's visible for the other. We see that there is the 21st gate in Mercury, and the Mercury is the unconscious communication. Now, this is not only the tone of the voice that this person possesses, but it is also, gestures. It is the way they stand. It is the way their body actually speaks to you before you even speak to that person. And we can see that it is in the sixth line. So the sixth line itself is the line of, well, if we're talking I Ching wise, it is the line of extremes. So what we immediately can see is that this person is going to be radical in the way that they speak or they communicate. This may be kind of offensive to some people, but if we're talking human design wise, it is the sixth line. The sixth line, first and foremost, is looking at the circuitry as a whole. It is not necessarily part of the hexagram, it is trying to move towards the next hexagram. Again, this also denotes the trial and error field. So the 21st gate is called chaos, where ineffective action leads to disorder. So, in essence, if this person if their ego is not in the right place, the display of the control that they want will lead to the powerlessness. It will lead to chaos. It will lead to disorder in a sense that this person will not even be able to take control of a situation. Again, this resonates back to the third line, which is called powerlessness. So this person usually will try to take control of many things at many different times, during many different situations. And through that process, they will learn what actually works in terms of taking control and what doesn't. They will be able to judge what the situation demands of them, what the situation needs. On the other end of the spectrum is the 45th gate in personality Saturn. Now, I should start with a disclaimer. We can see that the personality can never actually activate the design itself. It will only mean that the person displaying control as their form of communication will directly feed towards the Saturn itself. The personality Saturn is defined as limitation, as growth and maturation. Thus, immediately this person will, through their experience, learn. They will be tested, they will gather the karma, and they will mature with regards to the position that they took. If something worked in terms of controlling, this person will gain the experience personality-wise, what actually happened there, what did they do right. Or it can go the other way, where there will be chaos. Their ego was not able to express its power. It will lead to a situation which deteriorated. This immediately feeds the Saturn in terms of this person will actually learn how to take control, how to be a proper ruler. And the 45th gate in line 6 is called reconsideration. It is the outsider mentality and actually the outsider presence. So on the mental plane, the person always is the outsider and is judging the whole process of the tribal, money-wise control environment. It is looking through the whole circuitry of what it actually means to be the one who supports, the one who rules, the one who takes control, and the one that functions in the tribe or in a society itself. Naturally, one can say that this resonates the third line or the exclusion. Therefore, throughout the process itself, the person will probably be excluded either themselves or through the use of their ego power to take control, which may or may not work out. However, what this actually supplies this person is the overview of the whole circuitry. The person is able, through their experience, to see and actually empathize with the outsiders, the people that otherwise would be deemed unworthy. They can see the uneducated and they instinctively know what value do they bring. As this gate goes on to the 12th hexagram, so the social channel of the individualism, this person is able to approach the people or actually see potential in those that would otherwise be discarded. In a sense, after displaying their power, they may be excluded. However, the prior rejection can be admitted mentally as an error, and the person can be accepted to the gathering again. However, with their I guess, deepened perception, because with this, the person will grow, they will understand the channel more, they will see what actual power looks like, they will see what the actual rulership looks like, how taking control is proper and how it is improper. They will learn how the people view the one who takes control. They will see what actually happens to those that step out of the line and do not conform. All the while, they will remain a person that is able to see the potential in the individuals, in those that may be deemed by the others unworthy. And through all of it, they will learn what brings the value or the benefit. I hope that this video helped some of you actually look at your channels and the definitions that you have as not only something that the channel itself represents, but also how your body and how your mind interact. Because one cannot see a chart as a separate thing and planets as entities that don't interact with each other. They create a synthetic and living, breathing organism, a system that actually helps you support and develop. So thank you for watching.